Perfect. So it's called Filmwax Radio, the show. It's really conversational.
Okay.
It's not... so you must have done quite a few of these podcasts.
Not yet. No.
Not just for
Marin's.
the film. But
Yeah.
you did Marin's.
Yeah,
You did.
I don't do very many. I don't love talking about myself till I have to. So when I'm promoting stuff, but like the friends that just go, "Hey, you want to do my thing?" Nope, I don't. So I've done like Nerdist over the years,
Right.
and
That
Mark
would-
Maron, just
Yeah.
the main comedy ones.
Yeah.
But if I'm in a town, some guy has his own.
And the chances
some
are,
nerd in Kansas City. Yeah.
chances are they do.
Yeah,
And
all the
whatever,
time.
every
And
town.
So I just say no every time.
Also, just so you have a little context, as if you're asking for it, I try to come across as someone who's championing film and also talk about things that are going on in the independent film world. Cool. And, so a lot of my guests are actually people like distributors, too.
Oh, nice.
I might have a programmer, a journalist. I mix it up. And
cool.
so hopefully, like, having somebody on like yourself helps kind of make it an entertaining show.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, exactly. Jury's out on that. It's okay. I can start doing.
Try to be entertaining.
I can start doing impressions. I was trying to do you before for somebody.
Oh, man.
One of the things that distinguishes you, I think, is your voice. It's just,
yes.
It does not come as a shock to you, right?
No.
So anyway, Brian Posehn, we just watched the Aziz Ansari show. That must have been fun for you to do.
Oh, that's Eric
Ware. I know. I'm kidding. It was part of my. I meant to.
It took me a minute because I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it, but I am aware that Eric's in it and that people do think I look like him.
It's so funny because I'm so obviously an idiot. Because not that I made the mistake, that was going to be intentional, but I was going to wait till you knew me a little bit better and could trust me before I said that, so you understood where it's coming from. Because I was going to say at the end, and how is it working with Tim? And because I imagine as two hulking, tall, funny.
I have worked with those guys, so yeah. But I'm not Eric Ware. I played him on one episode, I think. I think I did one where I replaced him.
That's so fun. That's really fun.
Of their second show, because I did Gibbons on their first show on Tom Goes to the Mayor. And then I wound up doing another thing on the other one, Tim and Eric's, whatever they called it.
Yeah. And it's funny because I also just watched The Comedy again for like the fourth time, which is one of my favorite.
The which one?
The Comedy, Rick Alverson's film where Eric's in it. He's like and this ironic, I did this podcast, it's the last one I'll ever do because this asshole ended up talking about Eric Wareham the entire time. Anyway, you have to see The Comedy.
You were doing an impression of me talking to somebody else after this?
That was it, yeah. But no, it's like you have to see The Comedy. I think you'd love it. First of all,
like comedy.
The comedy itself.
No, I don't watch much comedy.
Well, this is not even a comedy.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
It's sort of it has incredible funny moments in it, but it's really not. It's an ironic title, and Tim is the star of it.
It's an indie movie that he did. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, but it's I'll get these guys a link or something. I'll just so you know what the context of it. But anyway, now I feel very, very motivated to talk about Uncle Nick because we've wasted a lot of time not talking about Uncle Nick. But I do have a lot of curiosity about your career also, and I know Sarah Silverman Show, obviously, which is definitely how my introduction to you.
Okay, cool.
And which I loved. And
nice.
I loved your characters. I loved your character on that show. And I was just like, who is that guy? And just to know a couple of years later that I'd be talking to you is a thrill. So,
nice.
Yeah. Uncle Nick, so did you make a concerted effort to go in a new direction? Because it's obviously it's I guess a comedy drama, but it's mostly it's you in a very different light.
There's both. I mean, I feel like it's similar to characters I've played. It's just more layered. There was just more to it. I mean, and it wasn't like I made an effort to do it, but as an actor and a performer, I was waiting for something like this.
Oh, yeah?
Honestly, yeah, I've been waiting for somebody to go, hey, we should have him be the main guy in something. It's never happened. I'm always, smaller walk-ons, and then, with Sarah, I was part of the main cast, but I wasn't Sarah. I was Brian.
Right. Yes.
And so, it was one of those things I was waiting. And when I have friends that have gotten lead parts, that I'm never jealous. I'm not that kind of guy. But there was definitely like, oh, that's cool. And that would be cool if that ever landed in my lap. And then when Uncle Nick, the script came to me, I hate myself so much, and I'm such an idiot sometimes that I didn't even read it right away. You know, I was told that this was a thing for me, and then I went, well, that can't be good. You know, even though I was waiting for it. And then finally it took a buddy of mine who had read the script. He said, dude, you know, quit being an idiot. Read the thing. You're going to really dig it. These guys wrote it for you. They're waiting to hear what you think of it. And then finally I read it and loved it right away. But
it would be completely natural also, by the way, even though it's something you've been craving for, but it would make complete sense also that once it would land in your lap that you would, then the reality of it would start to kind of weigh in, and you might start thinking, ooh, now the self-doubt kicks in a little bit.
Well, then once I signed on, then there was definitely like, oh man, I'm in every scene. Oh man, I got to do this, and without giving things away, there were some things in the script where I was like, how am I going to do that and have people not hate me? You know, because the character is there's elements to him that are kind of unlikable. I mean, what's the language content on this show? Like,
wide open.
Okay, so you know the main idea,
not fuck. Oh, don't say that.
Okay, that's what I was about to.
Yeah, don't say fuck.
Okay.
No, you can say it.
I mean, the main idea of this movie is this guy goes to Christmas to try to fuck his stepniece. I mean, that's the main premise of the movie. So
it's a spoiler.
I think you know it by 5 minutes in when I'm trying to buy booze to ply her with. Right. You get the idea. And that's a tough main premise to get around, you know. Yeah. I've had other, dudes that kind of are creepy go, hey, that's not that bad, going after a 19-year-old. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of bad, dude, if you're 50.
It depends. If you're talking to Woody Allen, maybe not.
Right, but I had another friend of mine go, I don't think that's creepy. And I'm like, yeah, because that's what you do. But no.
No. The bar has also changed maybe from, unfortunately, or whatever, just realistically.
And she's not actually related. She's my brother's stepdaughter, but still.
Yeah, still. It's that Woody Allen technical.
There's some creepiness to it. Yeah, and the way I go about it of I'm going to get her drunk, and then we'll see what happens.
But we do want to say also that Uncle Nick represents kind of like a little bit of a nihilistic lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, like because you drink, smoke, a party, and
kind of doesn't care what people think about him, really.
Yeah. So she kind of That's probably the most important thing, and she kind of probably craves that herself. So
yeah.
I was wondering if the sketch shows, because also we could have mentioned you were on Mr. Show, and you're involved in the
just did the new one with Bob and David,
which I saw too, which is wonderful stuff. Does that help? Because obviously you're doing a lot of comedy stuff, but I'm thinking the sketch shows rather might help in some ways develop characters, right? Because like doing an Uncle Nick, which I guess is an extension of Brian Posehn, but it does require you to dig a little deeper in. Right,
and for this I actually did something I'd never done. I hired an acting coach, which you don't need to do when you just walk onto a sitcom and say something stupid and walk out. But for this, I felt like I needed to, and it really helped getting somebody to make me go a little deeper and play it real. And I'd done the kind of nerdy curmudgeon before, but this is a nerdy curmudgeon with a bunch of levels. So I did help to have somebody else kind of hold my hand and tell me it's okay to do, these things that were kind of foreign to me.
Yeah. What was like the biggest takeaway from the coaching?
Just to trust and play in yourself and play it more real. I mean, I think I went into it going, well, I know these comedic moments. I know I can do those. I know, I have confidence and I trust myself that I can get through that stuff. It's the other, it's the real moments, the telling the story. I have this story of my ex and how,
Yeah, right.
It's kind of tragic, and I've never done anything like that on camera. So I had to go a little real, and I played off real moments. I have a little boy, so whenever I had to think of tragedy, I would just think of the idea of losing him, which as a parent is the worst thing. So that helped me get through these other things that I didn't really have a connection to. I've never had a girlfriend die, but Uncle Nick has.
Right.
So
yeah, right. He lives alone in a house. And by the way, we should mention Cleveland is a character in the
yes, definitely.
And I also have a really nicely written and spoken framing device which you set up, which is this well-known Cleveland Indians game.
Not if you're not a sports nerd. I had never heard of it, but it's the big 10-cent beer night. That's what it was, right? In the 70s.
It really was a 10-cent beer night, right?
Yeah, and that,
which back in the 70s probably was like $1 now or something.
Right, and caused this riot against the Rangers. They were playing the Rangers. I think it's early, maybe 1970 was when it happened. I'm not sure.
But it's nice to break up the film too, in a way, like obviously among the innings, because you kind of interrupt and
right, and it parallels the story,
right, and of course the ultimate complete and utter chaos that this Christmas.
Yes,
because the film.
I caused
another
a little
thing.
Chaos.
Not just you.
Yeah,
there's somebody else who causes some chaos.
Right.
But we should also mention the film takes place over the course of one day, which is Christmas Eve day, right through Christmas Eve and overnight, I guess. The epilogue and what goes on with his family during the course of that time, and then again, it's framed with this famous game, and it also is almost like a mini little short film. Itself.
Well, our director has done documentaries, and the fact that Chris Kasich directed it, but
so he has a documentary background.
Yeah, and then he'd worked with Errol Morris, and Errol Morris came on as a producer after we had already shot the thing.
That's usually what executive producers do, right? They wait and see.
Yeah, he came on after he saw a cut of it and enjoyed it and liked obviously the documentary element, but also liked the comedy and kind of where it goes.
Yeah, right. The director of Thin Blue Line.
Yeah,
and
you don't see him. In your head, you're like produced a Christmas comedy. Well.
Well, that was not necessarily my question, and then the publicist just told me that he was a protege or a right, like
Kasich was, yes,
that's what I meant. That's what I meant, and so he worked for Errol Morris at one point or other, right? Which would
so that's the connection,
and it's really nice that Morris came on as executive producer. He certainly comes on. He's executive produced those two, documentaries made by Joshua Oppenheimer. The Act of Killing and The Look of Silence, which are pretty tragic stories shot in Indonesia, but
right.
But this is a little different.
Cleveland, Indonesia.
Yeah. So, did you grow up in Cleveland or?
No, I'm Northern California.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering because you just sort of also it goes to your acting.
People buy the Midwest thing, from me. I don't know. I've been there. But
who wouldn't? Why would
anybody
not believe if you said it?
But
you've been there. Well, I know. Actually, I have family in Cleveland, so I've been there. And,
nice.
I always had the nicest time in Cleveland. Of all the cities, I've been to in Cleveland, and there haven't been that many. But it's definitely I've had a good time in Cleveland. So I don't look at it as a mistake on the lake, personally.
Right.
And again,
I think people who live there do. Yeah.
Maybe. I haven't suffered through a winter on the lakes. But anyway. And which we should talk about also some of the other
cast.
The cast is in it too. And I know that Missy Pyle.
Well, the whole cast kind of came together because they're all my friends.
And Scott Adsit, who's also obviously he's a regular, like he's pops up in a lot of work you do as well. Huh?
Yeah, well, and it's one of those things I didn't look at it and went, oh, how do I cast all my friends in this? It just when they were casting, they were having problems finding these people, and I just stepped in. And my wife is a manager and knows all the comedic talent in L.A. and out here, and she helped too. And
what does she manage?
She manages Scott Adsit, and she manages Ron Funches and a couple other comedians.
Yeah.
So she really helped me out. And Missy was her idea completely.
She's good.
Not even a client.
Yeah.
It's just a friend of ours. And we had tried to cast another friend who I won't name, but she got busy and then pulled out. And then so we were kind of panicking. It was getting close to shooting. And my wife went, "What about Missy Pyle? Like she's the same size as you, and the female. She's thin and pretty, but she's very tall." And thought that would play. And
you get away with genetics.
Yeah, and then the chemistry. Once we, I've known her a long time, and then once we sat down and started pretending we're brother and sister, it just came together. I mean, and a lot of the stuff that you see wasn't even in the script. We riffed a lot, or she and I did. And then, they must have a ton of extra footage because we would just go on and on and on till we were told to shut up.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully
or cut.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll end up on a bonus feature.
But and then that's it. That came together of he'd be great as her husband. And then Padgett, I've known for many, many years. I've probably known Padgett the longest. Well, no, I knew Scott from Mr. Show, and I met her around the same time. So,
and she plays
my brother's
new wife,
cougar wife.
Yeah. I wasn't familiar with her. I'm sure I've seen her in stuff.
Yeah, she was on Criminal Minds, a drama on CBS for like 5 or 6 years, and she's been around.
Yeah, I miss a lot of television.
And she does stuff with Paul F. Tompkins all the time, so that's how I knew her comedic chops, were up there. Because I hadn't really seen her do much funny stuff over the years, but I've known her, and I know she's actually funny.
Does that always translate, though? Like, you might have somebody who's obviously just sort of instinctually funny or unintentionally funny, but
right. No, it doesn't. But yeah, I just trusted that it would. And she's not. I mean,
she didn't really have the funny role.
Yeah, she doesn't have the funny stuff. She kind of.
But
she kind of had a thankless part, but she killed it. I mean, she did so well, in my opinion.
But it's kind of cliche to say the straight man is as hard, if not harder, because your timing, it has to really be. Like, you don't get the audience laughing when you hit the mark. And there aren't those obvious, responses that let you know that. So you really have to just be very good and trust your instincts as a straight person.
Right.
So, working with a
couple of jackasses. Yeah.
I guess that's the way.
Oh, yeah.
So this would be then definitely something that you want to do more of, right?
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah. I'd love to play bigger parts, and happy in my place. But I was also very happy that this came about.
Well, you want to keep evolving, right?
Absolutely.
Who wants to just do the same thing anymore?
But I have so many irons in the fire. I'm doing so many things at once that acting wasn't my focus, but I'm more stand up and writing and everything else, and came together.
What else is coming up, or what? I mean, I know you just have a lot of pride. What some things take. And then other things sort of spin kind of until they,
just finished editing last night my new special. So my new stand-up special is called Criminally Posehn, and that'll be on Amazon first, and then kind of everywhere else after that.
I see. Is that like an hour?
Yeah, it's an hour
material.
It's my second. I did one a couple of years ago for Netflix, and this will wind up on Netflix, but we're starting out at Amazon.
Yeah, they seem to be just.
Everybody does them now, and it's cool to do them in these other places. I mean, HBO doesn't do too many a year.
Sure.
They're kind of, it doesn't mean what it used to mean to have an HBO special. That used to be like, that's it. If you get an HBO special, it doesn't really mean that anymore.
Prestige factor.
Now people, my peers do these specials wherever they want,
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of inspired by guys like Louis and Aziz who wound up doing them in different places.
And how long did it take for you to develop like this hour? I mean, I don't know when you did your last special.
So the turnaround for me, it's over 2 years. It's about, because I'm also doing other things, but I don't completely gut my act when I finish it. I'll start writing new jokes, and then I'll rotate the old ones out and put new ones in. And then hopefully by 2 years, I have a full hour.
Right.
And that's kind of what happened this last time. The turnaround time is getting shorter for me. I think between my first record and my second record, it was 4 or 5 years, I think. Mm-hmm. Or about 4 of actually getting all the material. So I've cut that time in half. I'm down there like around 2. So
where did you perform that special?
This new one was in San Diego at the House of Blues during Comic-Con, which
so
was a good fit.
Yeah, and people are already drunk. And
they're
lubricated.
But they're also ready to hear a nerd talk about being nerdy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, that's what was so lovely about that character on Silverman, right? Because also on the Her Show, right? Weren't you? You were like the ultimate nerd, and
yeah. That character was basically me, except for he was married to a guy.
Were you was it tailored to you? I should say.
Yeah.
Because he was also a gay character, which was just sort of like in a way, it was a device. It was here's something you wouldn't expect. These two big kind of nerdy guys happen to also be.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a device, but
Well,
it was kind of secondary to their characters.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like it was a really well played out. The characters were really well played out. I mean, for me,
it was kind of the genius of Sarah. That was all her show. She ran it with other people, but I mean, all the ideas were hers. And Steve and I are two of her closest male friends in real life, and she loves us and loves having us around, and kind of, wrote these, completely wrote those characters for us. And honestly, we did the pilot, and it wasn't spelled out that we were gay. Mm-hmm. And then we did the second episode, and I'm reading the script, and I call Steve, and I go, "Hey, are we gay?" And he's like, "Are you an idiot?" I'm like, "Yeah." Which sometimes,
when you're waking up in the bed together, didn't you understand?
Yeah, it was kind of like,
well, you're both kind of big teddy bears,
Yeah,
and it's nice. It was nice.
But I love that she did it that way instead of saying, "Hey, you're going to play a gay guy," and then it's and then
toss your arms around.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like.
It was a very positive image, and it was, like you say, very secondary to the role. It didn't
and she didn't want. Not that Will and Grace was bad, but she didn't want the typical sitcom gay guy. That's not what she wanted from us.
Right.
She wanted us to basically be ourselves, and then instead of being married to a tiny blonde lady like I am in real life, I'm married to a dude who looks like me.
Yeah. How old's your kid, by the way?
6.
Okay, that's nice. It's
great. It's a fun stage. I'm having a blast.
Yeah, I have an 11-year-old. It's still fun. Yesterday, he took he got home from school on his own for the first time.
Oh wow!
Because of bad
That's
parent.
a big deal. Oh, somebody forgot him?
No, it wasn't quite like that. We had to just his mother is an actress, and got caught up at some sort of thing she had to do. She had to do it. I was off doing something artsy too, and so. He and the babysitter was running late or something like that. So, he knew how to get home, and he's almost 12. He could do it. It's just that he ended up, and it was fine. It was perfectly fine without incident. I was just so proud. It's a big deal.
Yeah,
6 years old.
sure.
You can imagine,
yes.
One day him walking, your little boy walking, being old enough to kind of do that kind of thing.
Right, it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, a little bit, but I knew he was fine. Well, it was a lot of fun talking.
Yeah, man, nice talking to you.
Hopefully we'll do it again sometime with other films. Uncle Nick is the name of the film, and it stars Brian Posehn et al. And it's opening, son of a bitch.
It's about 10 or 12 theaters this weekend.
It's opening Friday. Right, it's opening Friday and around in city near you, and then I'm sure on digital platforms too.
The same day it goes to iTunes, Amazon,
all the big
Direct. I think of PlayStation, all those places.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean,
thanks,
really,
man. Thanks for having me.
I hope it was not. I'm hoping it was up there, Marin.
Sure.
Guy in Oshkosh.
I never do those. So yeah, nice.
I feel honored that you did it. It was a lot of fun
to
talk to you. And
thanks, man.